Welcome to the Property Profits Real Estate Podcast, the show where real estate investors talk strategy, capital, deals, and growth with your host, Dave Dubeau.
Hey gang, welcome back. Today, our topic is development. Now, development means lots of different things to lots of different people. Well, our special guest today, Kristi Kandel, has been doing this, believe it or not. I think she must have been 3 or 4 years old when she started. For 20 years, she's been doing development deals. So she's very, very passionate, not just about development, but using development as a means of change. So she's all about really working with local folks to do developments to make a big impact in their own community. So Kristi, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me. And I was a little bit older than 3, but
were you? Not much, though, I tell you what. So, Kristi, tell me a little bit, when people ask you, what is development? What does development mean? How do you answer them? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, it's how our communities are shaped and formed. It's every bit of how we function throughout the day. And having grown up in a very small town in Ohio, I didn't even think of how our communities were formed until I accidentally started. My very first job out of college was putting up signs for CVS Pharmacy, and they were building on every corner. And I realized, oh my gosh, like these developer people, they're building the CVSs, but they're building the shopping centers. They're building the housing around it. They're building all of this. I'm like, we humans, like, I just literally never thought, who builds our communities? And I'm like, oh, normal people are doing this. And then what I've realized over the years is that too many times development happens to us and not for us. And that's because we haven't normalized development. It sounds scary and it is complicated. And I've done it in some of the toughest markets in Miami and California and Boston and in those cities where there's so much red tape. But it's truly not when you think about it, because we have 16,000 communities in the United States that have a population of under 10,000 people. If you can flip a single family house, you can take that downtown building and you can redo the apartments above, put a couple of businesses in the shops below. And now you, instead of impacting one life and one family, you've impacted, 30 to 50 lives. So.
Okay. Well, yeah, that sounds great. Maybe here's what I'm going to ask you to do, Kristi. Walk me through an example of something that one of your clients or associates or somebody that's part of your community, kind of along the lines of what you just mentioned there, one of your favorite stories about a development deal. That way I'll just kind of paint a picture of what these things really, where they started, how they went, where it ended up.
Yeah. One of my favorite stories is actually in Michigan in the UP. So as close as you can get to Canada, pretty much. But it was a friend that was in a real estate group. Her husband was literally building rockets, going to space, and she was a marketing guru. And they had went from college to going out to the West Coast, and they moved back to Michigan. And they're like, you know what? We want to really transform the community we grew up in, and to do some really cool stuff. And she ended up connecting with me because she's like, wait, development. I hustle hard. We have the money. Like, we just need the backstop if, when we run into hurdles. And I'm like, heck yeah, you've got all the traits of a developer. Let's freaking go. And they bought some waterfront property up in Michigan, and it was an abandoned restaurant. The owner had it in 2019 and then started to remodel it, but then some life issues came up and just tabled it. And they've been staring and driving past that building for so long. And they're like, dude, this is prime waterfront property. There's so much we could do with it. And they ended up going through the process of, and doing it in multiple phases, but going through the process of turning that restaurant into the super cool, brewery, not necessarily brewery, but like, wow, words are hard. But a
microbrewery type restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. And then the top floor was for events, and then outside they added in the whole sauna thing because it's very common up there. So they had an outdoor like health and wellness experience. They had a gathering spot for locals to come, and live music and drinks and food. And they ended up partnering them with the city, and the city said, oh, since you invested in this, we're going to invest in the docks, and we're going to make it to where in the summer people can boat up and come to this. And it just became like the prime example of locals going, hey, I want to do something, and then working together with their community. And there wasn't much that I truly needed to help them on, because the city was so small that the city manager wanted to work with them. The council members were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Someone's taking initiative and going forward. And yeah, there were some nuances that I actually stepped in and helped the city and my friend out to go, hey, here's how you can do this based on other markets and other projects. But I mean, ultimately, they were able to drive that together because they were working together on something that everybody wanted. And they're in the process. They've got some good plans for what can happen to just expand what's there along the waterfront. And they've in turn started a ripple effect within the community, because now other people are like, whoa, you guys could do that? Like Glenn and Jason, like you guys could do it. We can too. Like if you got, okay. And so now they've really started that, and it's just awesome to see a whole community then transform because two people decided to take action.
So did they end up holding on to that business and running the business itself as well?
Yes. And this is the thing that comes with the smaller communities. You are not doing traditional development where you're building, you're selling, and you're making a bunch of money. You are building, you're operating, and you're holding probably for 5 to 10 years, because it depends on where your community is at and everyone jumping in, because it's going to take some time. Real estate is not a get rich quick thing. It's you're going to take time, but it's probably a 7 to 10 year hold. And that's the reality for those 16,000 communities I'm talking about. But the added benefit is you're living there. You get to see your friends and neighbors and community members coming and enjoying that space. And that's the thing that keeps you motivated to keep going, to go, yeah, you are running a business, but if you're in development, you're probably an entrepreneur. So you're probably already you're not employable anyway. So you might as well just do something that transforms your town. So yeah, you're the operator. And in the end, they 100% could end up selling, and they've increased the value tremendously. Or maybe it's a play that they hold. But yeah.
Yeah. So, Kristi, why do you think it is that more real estate investors don't get into development themselves?
There's just not enough information out there about it. It sounds scary. It's complicated. It's not a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 step process. It's a if this, then that. But actually, in this case, it's this, and it's that hurdle. Like people want to, but then they get scared, and so they won't. And honestly, that's why I started the Local Real Estate Developer podcast, because I'm like, how did we all normalize single family houses, like house hack, fix and flip, or multi, like different things like that? It's because we heard story after story after story of people doing it, and eventually we saw enough of ourselves and the people to go, I think I can do that. I think I can make that happen. So I'm just on a mission because everyone that I run into development, maybe 5% get in on purpose. 95% of people, their story is, oh, well, I accidentally got into development because of X, Y, or Z. And I would like to change that to where people are getting into development on purpose, which is how it should be. We're the ones living in our community. We need places to sleep. We need places to work. We need places to gather and play. And who knows our community and our people and what we need better than the people living there?
So you gave a great example there. I'm going to play devil's advocate and say, well, that's easy for those people because he's a rocket scientist and she's a successful business person. They got lots of money. They self-finance, blah, blah, blah. What do you say to the folks that don't have super deep pockets but have an interest in development?
Yeah, well, I would also go back to that example and say they did not self-finance. They did a combination of seller. They got a bank loan from a regional bank. They had a portion of it as seller carry, and they brought a portion of the money, but they also had friends and family who brought in some money to invest. So and that's the thing with development. And I've worked in LA and San Francisco, and it doesn't matter what developer's doing it. They're not using their money. It's always other people's money. We just think that, oh, you have to have millions in the bank as a developer. So I would say don't let that part fool you, because that's not true. But generally, when you're working on a project, you're probably going to need $100,000 to $500,000 of capital to put into it. And part of being a developer is that you're the team captain. You're the one who brings in the right players and people into the project. You have the vision, you're driving the ship. That means people, and there are so many people, and this is 100% true. The money is out there. It's the people willing to drive the ship and take the action that can get the money. It's because people are sitting there and they're waiting for someone to go do that. So, and in development, they're betting on you as the person to then go deliver. And for most people, they want it. They want to be like, oh, I was part of that. I helped build that. That's the cool thing with development is you can physically drive past and see. You can go in and buy that drink or the smoothie. You can use it. And so there's money on the sideline, but you need to have your plan together. You need to have the vision, and you're selling. You're constantly selling the project, the vision, the community, the why, the fact that you can operate it afterwards. And it's just, I don't know. I love it. I call development, it's like a combination of being a detective, playing a chess game and a poker game all at the same time.
Well, so you make a good argument about, people have gotten normalized around flipping houses, and that's kind of a normal thing. I think one of the big differences I'm hearing with what you're talking about is, with a house flip, you flip one, you sell it, you move on to the next. That's your business model. What about for the folks that are kind of interested in the development side of things as a business, but not perhaps to, build something and run that smoothie shop or run that restaurant or run that? What recommendations do you have for those kind of folks?
Yeah. Then I would say start talking to people in your community who are currently running businesses, because maybe they need to expand. Maybe they have outgrown their space. Maybe there's all sorts of reasons why people would want to do something. And some people truly are operators. They want to run the ice cream shop. They want to run the sandwich and coffee shop. They want to run the pizza place. So it's finding those people. Or it could be things like, hey, let's go into industrial flex space. Let's get a building, and then let's get the local plumber, electrician, lawn guy, and have them to have their offices where they can store equipment there. Then you are the owner of the overall property. They're just renting space from you to be able to have their office and their storage, their big equipment. So there's tons of ways that you can go about it. And that I think honestly is another reason that people get held out, is because there is no clear cut. Like there's 10,000 ways you could do development across all asset classes.
Okay, very cool. So it sounds like one of your favorite things to do is to focus on small town America, small town developments, that sort of thing. So is that what you recommend people kind of focus on versus the larger centers, the larger urban areas?
I would, for the simple fact that our primary and our secondary markets, so our big cities and our almost big cities, are heavily saturated. That is where your institutional players are at. That is where your professional developers, your institutional players, the people who they have so many analytics and things going into it that they can move so much faster, and their money is so much cheaper. The debt they get, the equity they get are so much cheaper. You're not going to be able to compete. And if you try, why are you pushing a boulder uphill? Whereas even in the bigger cities, they've got smaller communities within them, in the suburbs and the different areas. So looking at those, it's going to cost you less money. It's going to take you less time, and get some reps in. And sure, if you want to, I've had so many people on my pod that they're starting with smaller projects, and they're building like four vacation rentals that'll eventually turn into this cool little micro resort. But eventually they want to build a skyscraper. I'm like, guys, you can totally go do that. But you're getting your reps in the right way because it's all the same process. It's just you're getting your reps in first, so you don't make those death blow mistakes when you go do the bigger projects, and you're building the credibility. And then ultimately, again, back to the whole local concept, your community is not 100% developed or redeveloped. There are so many opportunities there, and the outside people don't know it. They have no idea that Bob had to shut down his factory, and so because of some other reasons, and that it was a really profitable factory, and that you could actually come in and repurpose it and plug in a different operator and make it happen. Like there's so many nuances that you already know and advantages you have for being the local. And then when you go to get the bank to give you money, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, you've lived here for 10, 20 years. Like we know you, we know your mom, we know your cousins. We have that know, like, and trust with you. And same thing with people investing. So it's just, you just have a unique advantage by being the local in your own community.
So you've been doing this for quite some time. You're obviously a big fan. What would you say are, not just for yourself, but the other people that you've helped get into development, what are the top 2 or 3 things they absolutely love about this business model?
The autonomy to pick what you're doing, and like life is hard. Choose your hard. The fact that they get to do this projects that they've been dreaming about doing and go, oh, this is actually true. I can make this happen. Like I've got a friend who invests in mobile home parks, and he's like, well, Kristi, I own this lot over here with my brother and dad, and I could totally build a bunch of townhomes on it. He's like, but it seems I'm just a mobile home park investor. I'm like, no, you're not. You're literally you just expanded your mobile home park. That is development. I'm like, you already did all of the steps. Now you can bring into these others. So I think it's so rewarding and awesome to see when people take the limits off that they put on themselves and go, oh, I can do that. Because then what else can they do next? And what else can they do next? And how many people did they inspire because now they took that next step and went forward? So to me, that is absolutely my favorite part, is when they realize, oh, that was possible. So what else could be possible?
Very nice. Now, you've got a whole podcast that you've created around this. Tell us a little bit about your show.
Yeah. So once a week on Tuesdays, we release the Local Real Estate Developer podcast. A majority of the people on are people doing these projects that I'm describing in communities. We also have on some of the strategic partners. So we'll have on lenders, we'll have on architects, we'll have engineers, we'll have city officials, just to help give the perspective of when you're going through, you're going to work with so many different people. So let's make them not scary. Let's normalize it. Let's hear everyone's perspectives. And to me, honestly, it's my favorite part of the week when we get to sit down and talk to people and just hear their story about how they got into development and how they're changing their community. It's so much fun. And I had a city planner in Laguna Beach. He's been listening forever. Shout out if you're listening. But I loved it because we had the ADU guy in San Diego on, and and those are expensive markets. So in expensive markets, people find it hard to get into development. So they're like, it's so much money to do our first project. But because he heard how Brian was doing ADUs in San Diego, he's like, well, I'm just a couple hours north in Laguna Beach. I guess I might be able to do it too. And that propelled him to then have a discovery call with me to where we were chatting. And I was like, dude, just connect with Brian direct. Like, that's exactly what you can do right now with the property you have. He's the guru right here. Like, yes, I could help you, but go talk to him and do it. So that to me is one of the most fun parts, is being able to connect the people who come on with other people who come on the pod or other people who have been listening, because that's what's going to create the whole ripple effect in the grassroots movement to truly transform our communities. And that's what's so inspiring and fun to me.
So Kristi, speaking of connect, who are you looking to connect with these days?
Yeah. So any local developers to come on the pod to share their stories. And then also I'm working on Elevate Southwest Florida. So it's a 15 to 20 acre sports and wellness destination. So we'll have sports, we'll have a giant wellness building, we'll have a food park, dog park, walking trails. Basically it's the missing third space in our communities. And this project is 5 to 6 years, 140 million plus. So really just looking to connect and collaborate with as many people. Like we're going to end up collaborating with a ton of people. So if you're in Southwest Florida, 100% reach out, because we probably need to talk for many reasons. We already have our phase 1 open. So we've got our sports leagues. We've got beach volleyball, pickleball, basketball, kickball, soccer, and everything. So that's our initial phase that we're bootstrapping. But then we'll start the entitlements. The goal is to start entitlements and capital raising in December. And so we could get phase 2 open by 2028, phase 3, and the whole thing done by 2030. So yeah, if anyone's in the area has any interest in the health and wellness space, the missing third spaces in our communities, it's even, there's been people in like in Austin, Texas, that is like, oh, hey, we're doing something similar. Like we're not going to work together, but we can share ideas and collaborate and say, hey, here's what we learned, or here's what we did. So yeah.
And if people want to connect with you, what's the number one best place for them to go?
Probably the easiest is just to go to kristikandel.com. Easiest, but now to spell it, it's KRISTI, Kandel, KANDEL.com. And then that takes you to local developers, my development company, my consulting, to Elevate Southwest Florida, all of it.
Kristi, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, take care, and we will see you on the next one.
Thanks for listening to the Property Profits Podcast. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, apply at daveinterviews.u.com.